What's going on, everyone? So D'Angelo Russell during the regular season is Steph Curry. During the playoffs is Seth Curry. But no, in all seriousness, D'Angelo Russell from the regular season to the postseason has been very different, right? D'Angelo Russell during the regular season has been historically great. I mean, look at last season, right? He's setting records, not just for Lakers, but just league period. And just at a high efficiency, at a high clip. His playmaking is spectacular, right? Like, we were at our best when D'Lo was able to kind of wheel and deal, right? I mean, and the only time he really got the opportunity to do that was when LeBron ended up sitting out those games. And then Darvin Ham kind of allowed him to do that, where it was just like numerous times throughout the course of the season, especially when the offense isn't clicking and things are just kind of stagnant and not going well. It's just like, man, you have a guy in D'Lo who's been so good at just creating stuff. Why not give him the basketball and kind of let him go to work, right? And, you know, the idea is that now Darvin Ham's out of the picture, right? Now, the Lakers are actively trying to trade D'Angelo Russell. I think a lot of that is due to him being expiring and he could end up leaving. I think part of it is just D'Lo and Austin Reeves both in your backcourt are a bit of a liability together because they are very similar. Now, I am, and I've said this before, Team D'Angelo Russell, right? Look, I like Austin Reeves a lot, but I just think D'Lo is better at the things that the Lakers really need, such as higher volume shooting at a high percentage clip. He's the better playmaker, right? He's more versatile off ball. So to me, I like the idea of keeping D'Angelo Russell. D'Lo wants to be a Laker. He just doesn't want to keep being in trade talks and trade rumors and, you know, wondering every day, is this the day that I'm out and on another team, right? He just wants a home. He just wants comfortability. If the Lakers offered him, you know, a 4-year, $60 million contract, he'd probably sign it if he knew he was going to be there long term, right? But the Lakers want to unload him. They don't want to trade Austin Reeves. Again, I don't mind keeping D'Lo. I don't mind keeping Reeves. But to me, I like what D'Angelo Russell provides. And ideally, if the Lakers can get a trade without trading D'Lo, so like, again, the Jeremy Grant trade, let's just use that as an example, where you're keeping D'Angelo Russell. Because the problem is if you trade D'Lo, you got to replace him. And I don't think Austin Reeves is ready to do that yet. Can he get there at some point? Possibly. But we saw last year, he struggles with ball pressure. He gets tunnel vision a lot. Right? He's not great at developing things and giving what the defense gives him or taking what the defense gives him. Right? Where D'Lo literally will, if you watch him and you actually pay attention, right, you can find every game sequences where he actually develops something. There's nothing there, and he just goes and creates that thing. Now, Austin Reeves can run the basics. He can run the standard, you know, the pick and roll. You know, he can find the occasional cutter, hit the open man, but him actually creating like a true point guard, he just isn't there yet, where D'Lo is capable of doing that. And so, to me, I look at JJ Redick, right, and I look at what JJ Redick wants to do and the type of offense he wants to run. I think you can make an argument D'Angelo Russell might thrive more than anybody because it's not going to be a station. It's going to be a constant motion offense. You're going to run actual real sets where D'Angelo Russell is going to be able to make real plays. He wants LeBron to play off ball more, where Darvin Ham just would constantly default to give the ball to LeBron, and that was it. Where JJ's looking at it as like, no, that's not our best sets. Those aren't our best actions, right? We need to actually run plays. We need to actually do stuff and have LeBron play more off ball. And I just think with that, D'Angelo Russell is probably, I think he'll be even better next season, right? The other side of that too is the concerns of the playoffs, right? And this is why, to kind of loop it back to my point that I was starting to make with Jeremy Grant, is like if you were to go get a Jeremy Grant trade, then now D'Angelo Russell doesn't have to be your third option, right? Jeremy Grant's probably going to be your third option. So now you have your third option in Jeremy Grant. D'Lo now, the games where he goes off and gives you 20 and hits 4 threes or whatever, you're probably never losing those games. I mean, the Lakers almost never lose those games now, right? So, you know, if now he becomes kind of the fourth guy, and he's put in a position where he can kind of just make plays and hit open shots. Well, now he's that much more impactful. When he is having a bad night, it's not as impactful the other way. And I also just, again, think that JJ Redick is really going to help unlock and unleash DLo more. Where, it was very clear to me that DLo is best in a specific role, right? And again, the beauty of DLo is he's good in a multitude of ways. So it's not something where he can only play this role, right? But it was very clear when he is allowed to be your point guard and play the point guard position, which is almost like he is that. Odd, huh? But when he's actually allowed to do that, the Lakers were at their best. I mean, the eye test, the metrics, the offensive output, everything. Literally, go look at the data. It all says Lakers were best when DLo was the point guard. The Lakers were actually very good this year when LeBron didn't play, which historically teams have not been good when LeBron doesn't play. But why? Because DLo was out there giving you, 25 and with 8 assists, 10 assists, stuff like that, because he was allowed to play the role that he is best at. I think JJ Redick is going to look at that. JJ Redick is a very analytical. He's a very, what does it say? And it says that DLo is best playing this way. I think he will allow DLo to play that way a lot more than Darvin Ham did. Again, I'm not saying that DLo's just going to constantly, because again, it's JJ Redick doesn't want to run give your point guard the ball and he's wheeling and dealing every play. So it's not going to be that type of offense where, DLo every possession is just making plays for everybody. No, it's supposed to be that's why a lot of people believe that Austin Reeves can kind of fill in that role, because you just need the initiator. You need somebody to come up, initiate the offense, and then boom, right? Get heavy ball movement. And I talked about it last year heavily. Whenever the Lakers had 30 plus assists, they never lost. I think when they hit 31 plus assists, I think they were undefeated. It was 31 and 32 off the top of my head. So basically, whenever the Lakers got 30 assists, they won. When they did it, they lost. And so the goal should be, hey, we need to be averaging 30 assists a game. Why? Because it makes it so challenging on the defense. The defense, if you constantly have motion, you constantly have action, and guys aren't just at a standstill, you're constantly keeping the defense guessing. You're constantly creating breakdown and advantage situations, right? But when it's LeBron James at the top of the key with the ball, and everyone is just standing around on the perimeter, guess what? The defense doesn't have to worry. The defense knows what you're going to do. LeBron's going to put his head down. He's going to drive to the basket. He's going to kick it out to one of the shooters, or he's going to try to finish at the rim. There's only two options there, right? Because LeBron isn't this guy that's going to cross dudes over and pull up, off the dribble from the mid-range. And he's not, right? So, again, and if he does do that, well, then you live with it, right? Because he's not going to do that regularly. The Lakers need to instill confidence. Now, the playoff side of things, right? Because that is a question. That is a concern. But, two things. One, it seems to be against Denver. The Lakers D'Angelo Russell was actually very good in both the Memphis series and the Warriors series. I mean, DLo single-handedly saved us in that Memphis series. Literally. And he single-handedly saved us in that, game 5 against the Warriors? Where he had that third quarter where he dropped I think it was 12 or something in that third quarter. And Golden State had all the momentum. They came back and we were able to close it out in the fourth. D'Lo was very good in the first two rounds. And then he ran into Denver and Bruce Brown just abused him. It was not good. Right? And you just saw his confidence get just drained. And he was awful in that Denver series. Awful. Then fast forward to this most recent Denver series. He actually wasn't that bad. He wasn't great. all right, he was in half the games, right? I mean, he was actually very good in, what was it, game 2, right? Like, DLo had his moments in that playoff run where he looked like D'Angelo Russell, but it was the lack of consistency. But here's the second point is, how do you get better in those situations, right? You experience those more. It's not like before he became a Laker, he was a perennial playoff guy. It's not like every year he was in the playoffs and got deep playoff runs and all that. No, I'm not saying he was never in the playoffs, but they were very limited playoff runs, right? Before he went to the Lakers, he was in the playoffs 2 other times. Once with Minnesota, he played 6 games. Then with Brooklyn, he played 5 games. Combined, the 2 previous times, 2018, 2019 season, 2021, 2022 season, were the only 2 seasons in which D'Lo was in the playoffs. He played 11 games total. Just, not this past year, but the previous year, in 2022, 2023, he played 16 games total. He played more in just that one, in his first playoff run with the Lakers, played more games. He actually played more games played the same number of games as last year and the 2 previous runs, not with the Lakers combined, which I think is kind of funny. But so again, how do you get more comfortable? Oh, you gain more experience. You do it game in and game out. You start going on these runs, right? You look at the first playoff series against Denver, and he was awful. This playoff series, he was much better, right? Like, you look at the actual growth game in and game, or year in and year out. There has been real growth. So, again, like, if you remove just the Denver series in that first playoff run, I mean, even just the playoffs period in the previous year, D'Lo averaged 13.3 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. He shot 77% from the foul line, EFG of basically 50%, shot 51.9% from 2-point range, so 52%, and then he shot 31% from 3-point range. So he was rough in that first playoff run, right? And then you look at last year, 14.2 points, 50% from the foul line, but he averaged 0.04 attempts, but still, it's not great. He gave you 4.5 assists, 3 rebounds again, gave you actually more steals. He shot 38.4% from the field as opposed to 42.6%, and then 31.8% compared to 31% from 3-point range. So you actually shot better from 3 on higher volume in this last playoff run. But also you had a 16-game sample size compared to a 5-game sample size. All right? So hopefully this is because D'Lo, instead of being bad in all the games, because you got to keep in mind, those averages the previous year were pretty much almost solely the Grizzlies and the Warriors series. His numbers dropped mightily. He was basically what he was during the regular season in those first 2 rounds, but then just fell off mightily because, I mean, he was giving you goose eggs and all kinds of stuff in the playoffs against Denver, in that playoff run against Denver. But you look at last season again, in just the Denver series, he was far better in the Denver series. Basically double what he was the previous year. So again, is he getting more comfortable? Is he getting better? Is he getting more in a rhythm and flow? Right? Now, again, obviously, you run the risk of the fool's gold. But I also think, again, JJ Redick is going to go a long way for him and several players. But I think JJ Redick will also make adjustments and put D'Lo in better positions. And when D'Lo is having his struggles, find other ways to kind of build and gain his confidence. And that's also one of the reasons why I'd like another trade. Because again, like if we had, say, Jeremy Grant in that playoff series against Denver, and D'Lo's now the 4th option, right? So the games that D'Lo drops 20 and is great and looks like D'Lo, we won all those games. And the games in which he was bad, if Jeremy Grant's out there giving you 20, and again, I'm just using him as an example, but in those games, Jeremy Grant's out there giving you 20, we probably win those games too. Or at least have a better chance of winning those games, right? So again, I think you take pressure off D'Lo, take pressure off the situation. I don't know. I like DLo. I am totally okay with the Lakers keeping DLo. I think that there is a genuine argument to do that. Obviously, playoffs are a concern, but again, is he getting better? Is he going to get more? Is he going to be better improved? Right? Like, I'm not willing to write him off yet. Also, what does he look like if he doesn't play Denver? Because again, every team but Denver. Could it just be a Denver thing? Maybe just Denver's in his head. Could always be a possibility. You just see teams that, certain matchups are terrible. I mean, look at, like, Anthony Davis against Sabonis. Has never beaten Sabonis once. Does anybody think Sabonis is better than Anthony Davis? No. But it's just that matchup, right? I mean, for years, the Lakers couldn't beat the Clippers at all. Like, no matter what, we just couldn't beat them, right? Right now, it's Sacramento. For whatever reason, we just can't beat them in Denver, right? Like, sometimes things just like that happen. So, again, I'm not willing to give up on DLo. Look, if you trade him, fine, right? Obviously, it depends on what the return is. I'm okay with them trading DLo, but I'm also okay and think DLo is going to be great if they keep him. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel with your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Are you somewhere in between? Are you kind of in the middle? How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.